The banqiao reservoir stood over 116 meters over the Ru River in the Henan province of China. It was designed to store water for irrigation and control flood dangers. The storage capacity was set at 492 million cubic meters, along with 375 million cubic meters reserved for flood storage. It was originally designed to pass about 1,742 cubic meters per second passing through the sluice gates and spillway. The dam was given the nickname Iron Dam because it could protect against a 1 in a 1,000-year flood, which is a storm that would drop 0.53 meters of rain over a 3-day period. On August of 1975, however, a 1 in 2,000-year flood occurred and poured more than a year's rainfall in 24 hours. This set a new record at 189.5 millimeters of rainfall per hour at 1,060 millimeters per day, exceeding the average annual precipitation of about 800 millimeters, which weather forecasts failed to predict, produced by the collision of Super Typhoon Nina and a cold front. The typhoon caused more than a whole year's worth of rain, where the water peaked at 117.94 meters above sea level, which was 0.3 meters higher than the wave protection. The banqiao Dam crumbled, and altogether 62 dams broke, which released over 701 million cubic meters of water that killed over 170,000 people. The wall of water traveled at a speed of about 50 kilometers per hour, or 14 meters per second. Downstream, the dike's flood diversion projects broke. The death count could have been lowered, but communication failed. Communication to the dam was largely lost due to the collapse of buildings under heavy rain and wire failures. On August 6, the People's Liberation Army unit request to open the dam was rejected because of the existing flood in downstream areas. On August 7, however, the request was accepted, but the telegrams failed to reach the dam. Communications failed in the transmission of evacuating orders, and 7 county seats were flooded before they had been fully evacuated, leading to a much higher death toll. Therefore, many were unprepared or did not know of the danger. The flood spread over more than 1 million hectares of farmland throughout 29 counties and municipalities. Those affected by the flood were trapped without food for days, and many became sick because of the contaminated water. The design of the banqiao Dam. The banqiao reservoir had some flaws in the design and construction, where there were cracks in the dam and sluice gates. Also, the design was not taking account of the sediment that was building up in the sluice walls, which restricted water from passing through. There were many precautions that could have been taken to prevent this disaster from happening. The government could have taken Zheng Hing's, a hydrologist's warning, who believed that the government was not taking enough safety measurements. The government should have built 12 or more sluice gates because the amount of water released by the reservoir completely destroyed the 5 gates that were built. The banqiao reservoir was built as one massive reservoir across the plains of China. This could have been avoided because it would lead to waterlogging of farmland due to a high water table produced by the dams. Even if they still planned to build it across the plains, then taking precautions would have been wiser. Establishing a structure that reduced the buildup of sediments by the irrigation and allow fluid water flow might have saved a lot of lives. The government also did not have resources and technology in getting their citizens to a safe location. The main solution would have been to think about the structure's security before the cost of production, which could have been beneficial in the long term and prevented this incident. The long-term consequences of this disaster and the reaction to these consequences were largely concerned with famine and epidemics due to destroyed or damaged agricultural land and the spread of waterborne illnesses. Difficult to say exactly what the death toll, environmental health impact, and economic damage caused by this disaster was. A dam failure and the disaster that follows is never a natural disaster. We created these dams. We are responsible for it. The government had to put greed in front of the lives of the people.